Hello and welcome to This Week in Big Sky Football. I'm Carl Hunt. Our guests today include Northern Arizona head coach Chris Ball, Cal Poly quarterback Jalen Hamler, and Stats Craig Haley. Let's take a look back at some highlights from this past weekend. Northern Arizona kicked off the season for the Big Sky with a 37-23 win over Missouri State. Cal Poly topped San Diego 52-34. Sacramento State scored a school record 77 points in the win over Southern Oregon. Montana gave the league its second Big Sky Missouri Valley Challenge Series victory this season with a 31-17 road win at South Dakota. Eastern Washington, UC Davis, Weber State, Montana State, and Montana give the Big Sky 5 teams in the top 25 of the Stats FCS and AFCA FCS coaches polls, with another 5 teams receiving votes after Week 1. Big Sky Root Sports Offensive Player of the Week honors went to Cal Poly quarterback Jalen Hamler. Romeo Gunt of Portland State was named the Defensive Player of the Week, while Northern Arizona's Luis Aguilar earned Special Team Weekly honors. Remember, Root Sports is the official television partner of the Big Sky Conference. All 13 league teams will be in action this week, beginning on Thursday when Idaho State hosts Western Colorado. Southern Utah will play at Northern Iowa in the Lone Challenge Series game of the week. When we return, Northern Arizona head coach Chris Ball will join us on the show. Stay tuned on This Week in Big Sky Football.
The 2019 Big Sky Men's and Women's Basketball Championships are headed to Boise. Buy your tickets now for a fun-filled week with basketball for all to enjoy. Purchase your tickets today by visiting BigSkyInBoise.com. That's BigSkyInBoise.com.
We would like to welcome Northern Arizona head coach Chris Ball to our show today. Coach, welcome and congrats on your season-opening win over Missouri State. How did it feel to finally have your team play a game after all the off-season training?
Oh, it felt great. We throw in the 15 practices that we had in the spring, the 25 we had in camp. And boy, the players were tired of going against each other, so it was nice to finally get out there and play against somebody else.
What did you tell your players in the locker room after the game?
I just thought I told them I was proud of how they finished. Their MO coming into when I got here. That they didn't know how to finish, and so we challenged them at halftime about finishing the game, and we got the ball back with about 6 minutes left and ran the clock out. So I was really, really happy with the way they finished the game.
What have been some of your key takeaways so far as a head coach?
Well, just the fact that I get to help impact a larger amount of people than I did more than I did as a defensive coordinator, and plus I can help my staff, I can impact their lives as well. I do this because I got an opportunity to make a difference in people's lives through this great game of football. I do this also because I got a chance to help people accomplish their goals. So I think that the fact that I can help my staff or players accomplish goals and impact their lives through this great game is truly a blessing.
So what was it about NAU that really intrigued you and made you want to use that as your first head coaching gig?
Well, I had a really good job at Memphis, and we were having a lot of success there and working with Coach Norvell. And it would have had to be a really good job for me to leave. And I always thought this job was a job that you could have success in for a lot of reasons. The city, the school, the location. I thought the location was great just because you have a recruiting class, a recruiting base here in Arizona and Southern California. We're really the only scholarship FCS football program in this part of the country. So we got the whole state of Arizona and Southern California. So I've always thought that anytime you take a job, being able to have a recruiting base is key. And I thought there was a great recruiting base here in Northern Arizona.
Now, one of the things you guys have added at NAU is the new outdoor practice field, and those pictures look amazing. Talk about what that kind of does for your program.
It just shows that there's a commitment. There's a commitment here to get to build a championship football program. For them to turf, and it's state of the art now. It's nice turf. It's the best money can buy. You know, you throw that into our right next to our two grass fields, and the setting, you know, it's right there. You get a great view of the mountains, and right there in the woods. I mean, it's got to be the most beautiful practice setting in the country. And then, you know, we're trying to get a new facility built right there next to it. And so there's a lot of good. That shows that there's a commitment here for athletics and football, and I think that helps when you're trying to get kids to come to school here.
Now you have a veteran players that are returning. One of them is Case Cookus. What does a veteran player like that bring to the table for the Lumberjacks?
You know, it's great. You know, he's an experienced player. He's older. He's mature. He's had a lot of success in this league. He's had some adversity also that he's overcome. He's done a great job of you know, getting stronger and getting bigger and getting healthy. And, you know, he's done an unbelievable job with the offense and knowing it inside and out. And it's a great, great competitor, fun to coach. Well, anytime you got a guy like that, a quarterback, you've got a chance to win every week. And he's just been great since I've been here. Just phenomenal. So.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us on our show today, Coach, and good luck in your game at Arizona on Saturday.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and thank you for having me.
We'll be back shortly with our next segment of This Week in Big Sky Football.
Pluto TV is your one-stop shop for Big Sky action. The leading free internet television service in America will stream live sporting events including up to 700 football, men's and women's basketball, volleyball, and selected soccer, softball, and track and field events. Simply go to Pluto TV to find games from several different sports. Pluto TV is your one-stop shop for all Big Sky action.
Next up on This Week in Big Sky Football's Cal Poly redshirt freshman Jalen Hamler. Jalen, thanks for joining us on the show, and congrats on the win this past Saturday.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Jalen, you were named the Big Sky Root Sports Offensive Player of the Week after completing 3 touchdown passes and rushing for a pair of scores against San Diego. What was it like stepping on the field before that first snap?
You know, it was a lot of excitement. I was happy to get the opportunity that I had, and I just went out there and played to the best of my ability. All of my teammates wished me the best, told me that it was my time, so I just went out there and did accordingly.
So that was a pretty big win over San Diego for you and your teammates on Saturday. Looking back at that game, what were some of the things that worked for you guys?
We executed all week leading up, like our game plan, what we felt that we could do to win the game versus them, and we just did that very good for the first 8 drives. I don't think we punted or anything. We drove the ball. We played our football, ran the football. We know our identity, and that helped us in the end get the win.
Now, you had a 38-yard touchdown run. How are you able to get by the defense?
Just knowing where the hole would hit, and knowing how the defense was flowing to it, and knowing what cutback lanes that I had from watching film and going over it throughout practice all week.
Now, you really showed us that you have some wheels. Did you run track in high school at all?
I didn't run track, go to meets and stuff, but I did train with the track team in the off season, my junior and senior year, and sophomore year.
Well, it's showing out on the football field. What was the atmosphere like in the locker room after the win?
Just a lot of happy vibes, a lot of good. This just feels good to be 1-0 always. It always feels good to be 1-0 versus 0-1. You know, going into the next week with the winning record, it's always a boost for a team. So it felt good.
Now there seems to be a trend in college football to get really an athletic type of quarterback. How would you describe your style of play?
Somewhat dual threat. I wouldn't take my throwing ability out the way. My coach Dano Graves helped me come a long way with throwing the football since I've got here, but I do use my running ability very well. And yeah, you could say I will be a prototype dual threat.
Now looking to this weekend, you guys have Weber State on Saturday in a non-conference game. What do you know about the Wildcats?
Well, we know how they're going to play us. We know that they've been ranked high all these years. And all of these years that we've played them the last 3 years, the game's been like in between 8 points. So we understand how good of a team they are. We're not taking anything away from them, but we do know how to execute, and we do know what we like against them as well.
Now, prior to your arrival at Cal Poly, you played high school ball at Lawndale in Los Angeles. How did your experience there help transition your game to the college style of play?
Well, I just had great coaches that helped develop me for the college level to understand what I was getting myself into and how to prepare myself to really play at this level. All of my coaches played at the Division I level at Lawndale, and they just always gave me insight, knowledge about the game, and I feel like that's helped me transition well in college.
So what made you decide to choose Cal Poly to continue? It
was just a brotherhood. It felt like home when I got here. Like, even with the coach, it just felt like family. You know, I knew a couple of the guys that had that go here, that went here before I got here, and it just helped my transition a lot easier. You know, I love the school, very great academic school. Who wouldn't want to go here, right here on the coast, you know? So it was a lot of factors that played out into it.
All right, that's redshirt freshman quarterback Jalen Hamler of Cal Poly. The Mustangs will play at Weber State this Saturday at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Thanks for joining us on the show, and good luck this weekend.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
The 2019 Big Sky Men's and Women's Basketball Championships are headed to Boise. Buy your tickets now for a fun-filled week with basketball for all to enjoy. Purchase your tickets today by visiting BigSkyInBoise.com. That's BigSkyInBoise.com.
It's time for the one and only Craig Haley from Stats to join us on our show. Craig, how have you been?
Doing well, Carl. Thanks for having me on. I finally got my breath back from the first week of action because that was some weekend.
Yes, it was. And speaking of the 2019 season, it is yet to disappoint. There's been ups and downs, but nothing short of excitement. What was your game of the week this last week?
Sure. I mean, we picked Montana at South Dakota as our Stats game of the week, but in watching that game, I certainly loved the athleticism and the physical play. I mean, the Grizz were in control, but a strong opener indeed. There were a bunch of games. I mean, you got to give Portland State and Weber State credit for the way they hung with their FBS opponents. My favorite game happened to be Northern Iowa going 3 overtimes at nationally ranked Iowa State. I mean, that was just a strong statement for the FCS. So great games all around.
What game, if any, left you stunned by the outcome in week 1?
Wow. I didn't think Wofford, which was 9th ranked, would lose to South Carolina State from the MEAC. I mean, it was on the road, but, Wofford usually has too much defense. They have a strong playoff, background. Their triple option can be hard to defend for an opponent out of conference, but great win for South Carolina State. Just didn't see that one coming.
All right, now let's get to the polls. The top 5 teams stayed the same this week in the Stats FCS Top 25 poll. Was that what you expected?
Yeah, Carl, it was what I expected. I mean, you can't over-penalize a loss to FBS opponents. And the 4 teams right behind North Dakota State, they played FBS opponents. 3 of them were close games. And you also had, Eastern Washington with the tough one at Washington. As a voter, you still have to hold on to some of your preseason analysis because, the top teams in the nation will likely prove themselves once they start playing FCS opponents.
Now the Big Sky has 5 teams ranked in the top 25 of the FCS Stats poll, with quite a few more receiving votes. Could the Big Sky get 6 teams in the top 25 by the end of the season?
That's a good question. Six teams is a lot. I mean, it can happen. Maybe not all at once, 6 teams at different times. Northern Arizona is next in line and, off a strong opener, but, they do have to face a difficult schedule ahead. 5, 6, regardless, the Big Sky is on a high right now as a conference, especially after last season with the 3, national quarterfinalists and Eastern going all the way to the final. So, 5 is a tremendous number for sure, and 6 would be even better.
All right, let's shift our focus to this coming week. What Big Sky game is the one to watch for you this week?
Clearly, Montana State hosting, Southeast Missouri. I mean, it's a game of ranked teams. I think the Bobcats need a strong effort here, because they did struggle at Texas Tech. I mean, Casey Ballman, the new quarterback, needs to settle in, or we're all going to just keep wondering if the move away from Troy Anderson was the right decision. The Bobcats should win at home, but Southeast Missouri, they have a veteran quarterback. The defense returns 10 starters from last year, and that includes the Buck Buchanan Award recipient, Zach Hall, at linebacker. I think it's a great game. I'm really looking forward to that one.
All right. Well, thank you, Craig, for joining us. This has been Craig Haley with Stats. As always, have a great day.
All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Carl.
Big Sky fans, make sure you download the Pluto TV app on your smartphone, tablet, or TV, and check out our new channel lineup in the 500s. Idaho State will host Western Colorado on Pluto TV Thursday night. Saturday's contest of Lindenwood at Eastern Washington, Simon Fraser at Portland State, Central Washington at Idaho, and Cal Poly at Weber State can all be seen on Pluto TV. Thanks again to Northern Arizona head coach Chris Ball, Cal Poly quarterback Jalen Hamler, and FCS senior editor of Stats Craig Haley for joining us on today's show. Enjoy This Week in Big Sky Football.